church fathers marked with particular alarm. With the shape still held, you make an internal declaration, not out loud, internal. The declaration is simple. Whatever reaches toward me now meets itself. You do not name enemies. You do not visualize attackers. You simply install as a standing posture of the field the reflective quality. The Pistis Sophia describes this moment in strikingly calm language. It says the vessel becomes, quote, like still water, end of fragment. Still water does not fight the sky, it returns it. That is the operation. Now, before I reveal the final piece, I want to speak to those of you who have stayed until this moment. You have watched video after video on this channel. You have felt Sophia pulling. You have recognized the signs. And you know somewhere beneath thought that scattered fragments will never be enough. The ancient code was built for exactly this moment. It is the complete Gnostic initiation. I spent months assembling 5 suppressed masterclasses that were never meant for a public platform. The ancient code dossier, a printable manual you can study away from any screen, and the Gnostic meditation audio series that activates what the teachings reveal. The total perceived value of everything inside is over $280. Today's access is $67, and 3 seekers have already entered. This is not for those who want more content. This is for those who want the complete path. The link is in the pinned comment and description, or scan the QR code on your screen right now. And now, let me give you the final revelation, because this is what ties everything together. For those of you who have stayed with me this far, through 20 minutes of material that most channels would not touch, I want to be direct. What I have just walked you through is the outer surface of the protocol. The Shield of Sophia, the full reconstructed transmission with the Coptic pronunciation audio, the expanded 7-day integration protocol, the troubleshooting guide for when the technique meets resistance, and the lineage notes from the parallel Nag Hammadi fragments is available through the link in the description and the pinned comment. Thousands of seekers across more than 40 countries are currently practicing this material. If something inside you recognized what you just heard, the full transmission is the natural next step. Now let me give you the final revelation, because step 5 is where most practitioners either break through or walk away. Step 5, the sealing. After the mirroring is installed, you take one final in-breath. On the out-breath, you release the shape. You release the declaration, you release the name, you release everything, and you sit for a single silent breath in the field you have just assembled. This is the step no one can describe for you. It is the step where the technique stops being a technique and becomes a condition. The ancient initiates called it the standing. You are no longer doing the protocol. You are simply standing inside the protected field that the protocol has built. From this point, you open your eyes, you return to your day. The seal holds for hours, with daily practice for the entire waking cycle. That is the protocol, 5 steps, 5 minutes, preserved against the fire, against the erasure, against 2 millennia of deliberate forgetting, and now returned in your hands tonight. Now a warning, because this part is almost never included when the technique is shared in fragments online. The first time you practice the full sequence, you may feel resistance, not physical, internal. A sudden tiredness, a strange urge to stand up and do something else. A loop of thought that insists the whole thing is ridiculous. An hour later, a small wave of irritation at nothing in particular. If this happens, pay close attention, because the Gnostic commentators described exactly this pattern 17 centuries ago, and they gave it a name. They called it the reaction of the rulers. The sign that the protocol is working, the field is closing, something that had access is losing access, and the mind, which is the easiest surface for the archons to operate on, suddenly generates very convincing reasons to abandon the practice. Do not abandon it. The reaction passes, usually within 3 to 7 days of consistent practice. After that window, what practitioners describe across languages and across centuries is remarkably consistent. a quieting of the inner noise, a return of attention that used to leak outward, a reduction in the intensity of the 3am anxiety loops, a new capacity to sit in conversations that used to drain them, a sense, difficult to articulate, of being harder to reach from a direction they cannot name. And have you ever wondered why certain teachers, certain elders, certain old monastics carry a quality of stillness that the rest of us find almost unnerving? Why a person who has spent 40 years in disciplined interior practice does not absorb the emotional weather of a room the way ordinary people do? The Pistis Sophia would answer that they have walked through the 3 gates so many times that the gates no longer close. The standing has become permanent. And what began as a 5-minute protocol became, over decades, a mode of being. You will not reach that condition in a week, neither will I. But every single practice counts as a deposit. Every sealing adds structure to the vessel. And the vessel, once it begins to hold, begins to change what passes through your life, not in dramatic ways, in precise ones. You notice that certain conversations no longer hook you. You notice that the news no longer owns your afternoon. You notice that a sensation of being watched, which you may have carried for years without naming, quietly recedes. Not because the invisible field is empty, because you have become harder to read. So here is the reflection to carry with you. For almost 2,000 years, a protocol existed that could have been given to every human being at the age of reason. A 5-minute operation that would have changed the background texture of an entire civilization. It was hidden, burned, and buried, not because it was false, but because it was functional. Functional technologies of the interior have always been the most dangerous thing a controlling power can face. And the Pistis Sophia survived in a single codex, in a single museum, in a single translation, so that tonight, in your language on your screen, you could receive it back. That is not a small thing. That is a direct line across 17 centuries of deliberate silence. And the question now is no longer whether the technique is real. The question is whether you will practice it tomorrow morning, and the morning after that, and the morning after that. Because the archons do not fear people who know the protocol, they fear people who use it. If this transmission found you tonight, you are exactly where the Gnostic texts said the remembering would happen, inside ordinary rooms, in front of ordinary screens. In the ears of people who were told all their lives that sensitivity was a weakness, and who now finally understand it was a signal. If this channel has spoken to the part of you that has been waiting to hear something like this, subscribe to Omniscient. This is where the suppressed material is being returned, piece by piece, to the people who were always meant to receive it. In the next transmission, we open the codex that names, with uncomfortable precision, the specific archons the Pistis Sophia warns about by their sounds, their signatures, and the exact moments of the day when their pressure is strongest. You do not want to miss it. And if today was the day you realize the fragments are over, the ancient code is waiting, the complete initiation, pinned comment. I will see you in the next awakening. And if tonight was the night something finally shifted inside you, the shield of Sophia is waiting, pinned comment. I will see you in the next awakening.